Welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment here. Thanks for everyone joining virtually. I'm having a back. Thank you all so much for coming. We are so excited to have reached the end of our second cohort, working with 10 startups from all over the world, from Hawaii to South Africa. But before we jump into hearing from them, I always love to start with a little story on where we started, and at the end you'll hear where we're going. So my name is Daniel Kleinman. I'm the founder and CEO, and we launched Seaworthy back at the end of or fall of 2020. And just to share a little bit of my story. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go. You go back. There we go. All right. So my journey started back actually in 2012 when James Cameron did the dives during his finish. Some of you may know it infamously from South Park, others hopefully for the inspiring tech and innovation that happened for that. But for me, what that really inspired was doing technology for positive ocean climate impact innovation for that as well. And so in my career, I ended up getting an intern at the Woods Hole Ground Institution doing underwater vehicle design and hydrodynamic simulation work. And then in addition to that, became a University Innovation Fellow, which taught me design and systems thinking and really seeing the bigger picture. And so as I got into industry and working with Bluefin Robotics, doing piloting and testing of unmanned underwater robots, I really got to start to see things not just from the granular level, but how the system was built. And so 6 months of working at Bluefin, I saw them get bought out by a defense contractor called General Dynamics. And as a native South Floridian, I said I could sell out and work for a defense company or deal with winter, as I was living in Boston, and obviously love winter. So we moved on to San Diego, where I worked for the Navy for 3 years, and more importantly, just saw how the Navy and really fossil fuel companies as well, defensive fossil fuels, were really dominating all of the opportunities that I saw in the private sector. And that is what actually brought me back home to South Florida to get my master's here at University of Miami in Ocean Exploration Science that I graduated in December. And more importantly, having the opportunity to launch Seaworthy in the fall of 2020. Yeah. Definitely delayed. There we go. So a couple of these key perspectives. First off, in the ocean space, there's a true lack of public funding, at least in the States. We're seeing the result of that be the fact that there is really so little support for oceanographic research institutions like Woods Hole, where I worked. And I mentioned that private sector duopoly really limiting a lot of the opportunities for innovation in siloed focuses that arguably have the most funding. And then finally, within the marine sciences and academia, what we're really seeing, what I saw in my time at UM, is really this siloed focus where we're only thinking about doing public sector research, and not even thinking about creating scalable solutions and going on to really think about innovation and entrepreneurship and how we can actually make real impact. And so what we saw here in South Florida is really that our ecosystem is built differently. We're the one corner of the country where these entrenched interests in the kinds of fossil fuels don't really have footing. So on one hand, that means our ecosystems are very underdeveloped for doing this kind of work. On the other hand, we see it as an opportunity to go beyond sustainability to solve problems, not just mitigate them. So that regenerative approach is really about building systems and not just about individual solutions. So we launched Seaworthy. There you go. We launched Seaworthy as the first ocean impact community venture studio and startup community here back in fall of 2020. And saw really how this was just so perfect planned. We know we've needed to do something about this for so long, fight the narrative that we're complacent about. And so what we've been able to build is a community with a network of over 250 mentors and collaborators, a talent pool of over 2,000 current and aspiring ocean climate impact entrepreneurs, and investing capital with our partners over $1 billion in the And so we do this across 6 different verticals that we call our opportunities for sea change that individually have great potential for impact, but as collective systems really magnify that potential. So we talk about pairing something that impacts biodiversity like aquaculture with seaweed farms, and all of a sudden you start building these synergies or externalities that start really driving mutually beneficial outcomes. Then you compare that with a sensor company that can be monitoring for water quality. Maybe you can do that with a coast resilient mangrove forest regeneration project. And even have a business doing plastic pollution removal to actually keep that ecosystem and products pristine. So this is truly the systems approach that we've seen not only can help us go beyond just individual solutions, but actually create local scale regenerative economies that themselves are scalable. And so now that we are through our second cohort, we actually now work with 20 startups all over the world across 4 continents. Yeah. And starting in a moment here, we'll hear from our first startup in Africa with Nets to 3D, formerly Capital's first startup. But really, all of this underlines the both triple bottom line outcomes and systemic change impacts on the drive. And so that means social outcomes of making the space accessible and inclusive and diverse, building communities that are just what I've seen in the industry that are primarily white male, but actually have female and diverse representation. It means building an economy that's actually regenerative rather than exploitative, and solutions that are help driving this new economy, and hitting environmental impact that's actually reversing climate change and ocean degradation, and building climate tech and food tech ecosystems that last. And so earlier last month, we announced our deep dives, which are basically the ocean equivalent of shots, which accounted for our current impact progress as well as our 2030 goals. And I just wanted to share that with all of you. And so first, as far as the social outcomes we look to drive, we're hoping to educate over 100,000 people and supporting 10,000 entrepreneurs by the end of 2030. And so far, we've already educated over 2,000 and supported 48 founders for our first 2 cohorts. Most importantly, what we're really passionate about, though, is how we're setting truly the precedent for inclusion in space. And we're just still at the tip of the iceberg on that. We've already helped bring in over 33% either female or underrepresented founders in our cohorts, and we're really proud of that. Then as far as economic outcomes, an update I'm really excited to give. Not only are we working to drive at least $1 billion in early stage impact investment and grants, as well as supporting the development of 3,000 startups by the end of the decade. But we just heard from our cohort 1 startups that 2 of them closed a combined $6 million raise in the last 9 months. So that's a great. Well, Matt wants to know we'll be talking about cohort 2 raising even more, right, guys? Then at the same time, we've also again supported 20 startups co-creating 4. And then finally, we really see each of our 6 verticals being critical, and each startup that we work with is truly a shot at solving these problems. So we know, obviously, entrepreneurship is a difficult odds game, but the more that we can help, the more shots we have at solving climate change and ocean degradation. And so already we've helped at least 4 startups across each of our 6 verticals, and at the same time, we're looking to scale to 50 cities by the end of 2030, and already building an ecosystem here in Miami and South Florida. And so finally, to give a couple updates on cohort 1 before we talk about cohort 2, we mentioned cohort 1 was able to raise $6.5 million. But at the same time, we really measure our progress and traction and collaboration with what's called KPIs, or key performance indicators. And so they knocked out 84% and initiated over 150 collaborative relationships, and they continued on to other incubators and accelerators. We really see our place in the ecosystem as bringing people into this space. And at the end of the day, it was our first try doing it, and we had 80% satisfaction. Not bad. So now we actually hit 88% of our 3-month KPIs with this cohort. Already seen one of our startups raise 100K in investment. We initiated over 72 new collaborative relationships, helped co-create business models and pitch decks, which we're now quantifying because that takes so much effort that can otherwise detract from some of the collaborative relationships we built. And then we already have one of our startups continuing on to another accelerator program. We see more of our startups already for potential other opportunities. But most importantly, in proving that we have really created demonstrated value, we had 100% satisfaction rate. So now talk from me. We have some awesome startups that you're going to hear from today. And how we're going to have it set up is you're going to hear from these first 5, we'll have a little break in between, and then we'll have our second 5. It'll be about 2 hours, so that's why we get plenty of food and drink here in person, and if you're at home, definitely encourage you guys to be close to your fridge. At least that's a good way point here. That all being said, I'm going to throw it over to Rosalie in South Africa to take it away. I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me? Where's this disabled share screen?
We can hear you, Rosalie.
Thanks, Samara. I'm just trying to share my screen. Is that working? There we go. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you everyone for your time this evening. Right, so I'll begin. I'm Rosalie Ackerman, co-founder of Nets to 3D, and this is my husband and co-founder Gareth Ackerman, who's letting me do the presentation this evening. Okay, I left home at 16. I did what I could to support myself, including painting murals. This is where I started to leverage my creativity and design with my deep responsibility to help people and our environment. For several years, I learned to deal with unpredictability. I was constantly adapting, and from my perspective, spent time thinking about home as a concept, detached from it and looking in at it. In an unpredictable reality, housing should support how we need to live rather than drowning us against change. It should give us real freedom to adapt. Fast forward a few years, and as a homeless architectural student, I put myself through university to gain my architectural degree, first in year and cum laude. Sometimes solutions present themselves as groupings of combined problems. So globally, humanity is firstly wasteful of resources and secondly lacking in adequate shelter. Prime for a rethink, because when you combine these two problems, they form one solution. Nets to 3D is reclaiming some of these wasted resources in the form of more than 270,000 tons of end of season fishing nets available each year, helping to prevent their dumping or discard at sea. In this way, we help prevent some of the pointless creature deaths and ghost nets and help create some jobs so people can support their families. So introducing Nets to 3D, a circular blue economy manufacturing company producing large-scale 3D printed movable floating system for housing and commercial use that can be easily adapted and moved as your business or family needs change. Our modules are globally accessible, designed to international maritime standards and shipped in high cubes shipping containers that can be moored anywhere, and they are off-grid options. Our clients are small investors, mid-income families, and property developers in Europe and the USA. Our feedstock is end-of-season fishing nets, which we turn into technical compounds for ourselves and the molding and 3D printing industries. Compounding forms a circular economy bridge between diverted net draw and our large-scale 3D printed structures. We see a future where your house gives you freedom to move with change, adapt and be resilient while supporting a sustainable, balanced and circular way to live. We are pursuing design IP protection, so I can't share modular design today, but to give you a frame of reference, here's an example of a floating house community in the Netherlands and a floating hotel in Germany. Living on the water is becoming increasingly popular, with trends post-pandemic clearly towards a need for self-sustainability, simplifying, reducing debt, and reconnecting with nature. About 4 tons of fishing nets will be used in each of our floating houses. On the right here, there's an example of large-scale plastic 3D printed structure printed in 2016. But up until us, the material cost of large-scale printing has been prohibitively high, making full production manufacture non-viable. However, our 3D compounds will present a significant cost saving and help boost and blue the entire large-scale additive manufacturing industry. The compounding and modular markets are both relevant to our business. Firstly, the recycled plastic and virgin HDPE markets have an expected growth of between 6 and 10% over the next 5 years. This is modest, but these markets are big and well established and will form a slow changing anchoring base for our business. Our technical compounds for the molding industry will replace some of this combined virgin HDPE usage. Secondly, the global floating house market and modular construction markets are estimated to grow more than 50% over the next 5 years. These markets are currently modest size, but their potential is exceptional. We are fully focused on 3D printing the entire structure of our modular floating houses, drawing discarded nets at a meaningful scale. However, to build a robust long-term sustainable system, we are expanding our value chain by leveraging our created compounds. This reduces risk through multiple revenue streams and allows us to be resilient and adaptable manufacturers ourselves, not just our products. So our compounding therefore runs in parallel with our modular. Compounding competitors are generally producing raw recycled HDPE compounds for molding, and some others use recycled nylon. Nets to 3D is a first move in the HDPE 3D printing space. Movable modular competitors are generally using standard modular construction methods and or fiberglass. Some are printing in 3D, but these are for fixed sites. Next2 3D is the first mover in the on-water 3D printed modular space and the first to use end-of-season fishing nets in meaningful volumes into our structures. We've been through the Seaworthy Collective Venture Studio program. We have an MOU with RIO Ocean Integrity for large volume supply of nets. We have an MOU with Akani 3D, who are experts in additive manufacturing. We have a solid foundation of which to grow. With the LOIs we have for the initial compounding, the business will cover operating expenses within the first 6 months. A US patent attorney has advised us that our modular system is unique, so we will be pursuing global design patents. We have the basic 3D compound recipe parameters, and we'll fine tune these with the 3D printer manufacturer, who we also have an MOU with. Gareth and I are a proven founding team. Previously, we started and successfully scaled a circular manufacturing business, supplying big international clients with quality technical products. We diverted about 400 tons of rubber from landfill monthly, offered sheltered employment, and ran community programs. We know how to build a circular, ethically directed, profitable business. As a founding team, this business embodies our skills and passion. Gareth is a mechanical engineer who runs several manufacturing businesses and has the expertise on the compounding and recipe creation side. We have some great advisors on board so far, covering strategic and financial risk, maritime design and regulations, Web3 and blockchain, and we are currently looking for female advisors. Next2 3D was designed to be built on sustainable principles and so naturally meets several UN sustainability goals. We are looking to cover the total investment for the 5 years, which we will split into an initial tranche at the start of year 1 and a second tranche around the start of year 3. The majority of investment will be used for CapEx. Please join us on our journey as we provide freedom and a more resilient way to face the coming challenges, while we all reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie. Hi, I'm Tamara Farr. I'm the program director.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I can also tell that Rosalie and I are from Africa. My birthplace, special to my heart. And it's about 1 a.m. there, so pretty wonderful not to stay up and manage that. But our next company is Cleaner Growers, and okay, Cleaner Growers will be presenting next, and Michael would have loved to be here, but in his case, he's on the other coast in California, launching his first pilot. So pretty good excuse. All right, you want to switch the sound over?
Yep.
Let's see. Can everybody see here? And can everybody see here? Oh, tomorrow I'm getting quite a lot of feedback on my end. I don't know. All right, we'll jump into it then. So, hi everybody, my name is Michael Ahrens and I'm the founder and CEO at Clean Earth Rovers, and I'm extremely excited to share with you more on our marine debris tracking and removal systems. I also have my co-founder and CTO, Jonathan, on the call with me. So we're happy to be here and happy to share this further. So every year, 11 million tons of marine debris enters our oceans, out of which 6.6 million of that stays within coastal waterways, heavily affecting the impact and the efficiencies on coastal businesses and their ability to streamline their workflows. They have to stand on the dock and skim by hand with pool nets, and it takes them upwards of 2 hours a day per person skimming. Additionally, every year there are tons of chemical runoff that enters our oceans through the agriculture industry, spurring massive pollution events like red tide and harmful algal blooms. And it's such a bad issue that every state in the US has reported some form of nutrient pollution. And so when addressing these issues at a massive scale, sometimes it's hard to pin down who's actually dealing with them. So we took a step back and asked ourselves that question. And we found that marinas and coastal waterways around the country deal with this problem significantly on an annual basis. So much so that skimming by hand can cost them anywhere from $10,000 to $21,000. And if they have chemical pollutants or chemical spills like oil in their marina, they're being issued fines from the Coast Guard of a minimum of $5,000. And the Coast Guard in 2020 alone issued over 2,000 of those fines to different marinas. And we've done 150 customer discovery interviews with these marinas. And out of that, we learned that 30 of them have lost customers due to pollution, and an equivalent amount have been requested to receive water quality from the local municipalities. So with that, we also took a step back and said, who are all of the stakeholders that are involved in dealing with these problems and overseeing these waterways? And we learned that municipalities and homeowners associations also play a larger role in public health and safety and making sure that regulations are set for pollution in waters. So we took a look at harmful algal blooms and how they're currently managing them. And most of these HOAs and municipalities are currently tracking water data by hand by sending somebody to the shoreline, taking a sample and bringing it back to a lab. And if they are using remote monitoring devices, it's costing them anywhere up to $40,000 per buoy. And because that data acquisition is such an expensive habit, harmful algal blooms are costing US coastlines a total of $4.4 billion in losses on an annual basis, which can result in death of people and pets and hospitalizations. So that's why we've gone on to create a very exciting 3-in-1 solution where we have an autonomous drone that skims for trash, dead fish, algae, and other marine debris. And while it's doing that, it is also equipped with our data pod remote monitoring device. So this is something that will be on every Roomba that we provide to marinas, and something that can be sold separately to HOAs and municipalities that are only interested in the data. And then at the end of the day, all of that is aggregated into one spot on our user interface. And so here is actually our first rover in action that is in San Francisco right now. And I'll jump over real quickly, I'm swapping screen shares. So here it is in the marina driving around. The way it works is that it will skim the facility and patrol for any debris. As it patrols for it, it scoops it up into the middle into a disposable mesh bag, which is something that only we provide. And because of our simple emptying mechanism, the marinas can interact with it and interface with it in 10 minutes or less. Yeah, let's see, let's jump back. And so some of the key features of this are that it is fully battery operated and electric on about an 8-hour runtime. It can collect up to 100 pounds of trash per trip. And it's fully autonomous through waypoint navigation that the user is able to set on our interface. We also, as I mentioned, provide those disposable bags that make it easier and cut down on maintenance for the vessel, while providing the data services as well, so that all marinas are familiar with their waters and that they're safe for customers to be in. And likewise, on the data pod side of things, it is fully solar powered and electric, and it's providing 6 key water quality data metrics that tell you the health of your waters. Over time, as we gain infrastructure and expansion on data acquisition points, we plan to provide predictive analytics on when pollution events will actually happen, and they're all IoT connected. We've also, through the cohort, created many strategic partners that benefit our technology. So one of which is Advanced Navigation, which is providing us with the world's first ever consumer-facing cloud ground control system for our autonomy, which cuts down on a number of logistics and makes it easy for us to onboard customers. We're working with Sea-Doo and their marketing team to help benefit their Protect the Playground ESG campaign. We also have partnered with a oil spill absorption material company that will provide our customers with spill booms and spill nets so that they can cut down on the logistics and make it easier for marinas to keep oil out of their waters. We've also partnered with another cohort company, Seaworthy, who has created a very streamlined system for separating organic waste from man-made waste, which will then allow us to take all the plastics that we collect and push it back into infrastructure and supply chain. And so when it comes to how we actually make money, we plan on charging our customers, whether it's a marina or municipality, on a monthly basis. For the rover, that would be on a hardware as a service lease. And we've actually validated that $9.95 a month comes out to about $12,000 a year, which is within their $10,000 to $15,000 price point. And we also have the data as a service, which we're providing to customers at $300 a month. And when it comes to some of the other competition that's out there, we're the only ones that provide autonomy on all of our devices, and we're the only ones that provide data on all of our devices. And as of now, we're the first company in the US to be tackling this pollution in this manner. We also, on the data side and the data pod, we are providing people with a simple hands-free data acquisition model and providing them with versatile options to customize the data that they're collecting with predictive analytics. And so when we look at our market opportunity, we consider as a total addressable market the global marina industry along with the global water quality industry, and we've priced that at a $9 billion market. But when we scale back and do a bottom-up calculation, looking at the main coastal states in the US and their associated marinas, homeowners associations, and municipalities, we believe that our obtainable market is closer to 300 million. And to date, we have raised $230,000 in capital. 130,000 of that has come from the University of Cincinnati as non-dilutive funding. And then as of this past week, we just closed a $100,000 family and friends round. Additionally, we have a number of letter of intents around the country for both our data acquisition and for launching our rover into different marinas. So, we have a diverse team in both background, experience, age, and ethnicity. So you have David and I, who both come from Xavier University with degrees in entrepreneurship and management. David has since gone on to get his MBA in finance, and I've gone on to work in other sustainability roles for the city of Cincinnati and other sustainability startups. Jonathan has his master's in mechanical engineering and a mechatronics engineering degree, and is involved in systems automation for BD Medical. We have Chris on the team, who sold his startup successfully back in 2018 and is well-versed in the consumer packaged goods world and knows how these big companies like to think. And then we've also brought on some highly skilled drone engineers and former aerospace mechanics. And so really what we are asking, I think, coming out of this pitch and out of this cohort is, one, anybody who's interested to connect with us, please do. Secondly, we are looking to raise a seed round in 9 to 12 months from now based on our traction. We're also looking at a board of advisors and starting to build that. And we are in need of a full stack engineer. So anybody who is possibly interested in joining the team or getting in line to help us raise some capital, we're happy to talk and look forward to meeting with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And up next, we're going to listen. Well, first off, if you couldn't already tell, we have some focus areas in this cohort. This was actually the first cohort we've had any plastic pollution removal, not only downstream, as you've heard of the cleaner rovers, but also upstream. And so I'm excited for Revitalize and Amy to tell us a little bit about Super. Take it away, guys.
So Emma, are you going
Sorry,
to
everyone.
share your slide?
Yep, I was unmuting myself. Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy King, VP of Super.
And I'm Manuel. I'm CEO of Super. And SUPER stands for Single-Use Plastic Elimination and Reduction. We leverage the power of business to deplastify the world. This image that you're about to see, it really summarizes the why we do what we do. This is a photo I took on Midway Atoll in 2009 while making a documentary film that is being viewed by millions of people, and it's broken many hearts, including my own and all the teams, because this depicts a mother bird feeding its chick plastic. This is one of hundreds of thousands of albatross that nest in the island of Midway. But this image is also a self-portrait. This is really us. We contaminated every single ecosystem on the planet with plastic. There's plastic in the food we eat, there's plastic in our drink, there's plastic in the air we breathe. And we share a deep, heartfelt commitment to really stop this at source as soon as possible.
So single-use plastics are wasteful by design, and the problem is growing exponentially. With 8 million tons entering the ocean annually, this pollution is so massive that every year, the pollution is equal to 5 grocery bags full of plastic waste per linear foot of global coastline. And even with the most sophisticated businesses, they can't currently measure their plastic footprint. Wasted plastic is wasted money, and there's no business calculation for how much money could be saved and how quickly businesses can get a return on investment. And businesses don't have a clear pathway to alternatives and solutions. There's a disconnect with consumers who are demanding business leadership in regard to plastics.
And behind every big problem, there's usually great opportunities. And we believe that business procurement is a powerful intervention point in this plastic system. Businesses have immense purchasing power. And when you change procurement away from single-use plastic, you're turning off the tap and preventing the plastic to get into the system in the first place. To do this also, we generate and make visible a lot of data that could drive ESG and innovation forward. So this is what we built. We built the first single-use plastic footprinting and certification tool for businesses that enables deplastification at scale. It has 4 main components. First is the calculation, science-based calculations, automated footprint and ROI calculator. So not only footprints the plastic, but also gives business intelligence around how much money could be saved with the elimination. Then our way to help enable businesses to eliminate the single-use plastics is through a tier certification program. So it's a bronze, silver, and gold program. And this is also our main source of revenue. Our main source of revenue right now, we charge an onboarding fee and then an annual fee to certify businesses to renew the certification. Most businesses are kind of at a loss on how to eliminate those single-use plastics. So we provide support and we do matchmaking. We put together the businesses that are seeking to eliminate single-use plastics with those that are providing the alternatives and the solutions. Throughout the process, a lot of data is made visible and valuable. And also great engagement happens between customers, between employees, and between businesses.
And it's already working. We already have momentum. We started with the service industry and co-working spaces, but our concept can be applied to any sector. These 40 super certified spaces already have reduced 8.6 million items of single-use plastic per year. And we have several notable clients, including the state of Washington.
Our competitors are looking at this in valuable but quite different ways than us. We have a strong focus on building technology, on building SaaS that allows for very scalable and very science-driven measurements. And also we position ourselves as a business data company. So that really sets us apart from competitors.
And the market is huge. There's legislation and consumer behavior driving a move away from single-use plastics. And the market is growing at 10% per year. And more than half of consumers are trying to reduce their single-use plastic consumption. And here's our team and some of our superpowers. I'm Amy King. I am a long-term sustainability leader in both nonprofits and for-profits, and I'm currently a co-working operator in Dallas. I have a background through the U.S. Green Building Council in nonprofit organizational development and leadership, and I'm a brand storytelling expert.
And actually, the way we connected with Amy is she was a customer. where her co-working space in Dallas, Texas became super certified, and she ended up joining the team. And I'm Manuel Maqueda, co-founder and CEO. I've been working on single-use plastic elimination for over 12 years. That makes me a little bit of a pioneer and a thought leader in the space. I started a number of successful organizations, notable organizations in the space, such as Plastic Pollution Coalition and others. And I teach applied circular economy at Harvard University.
And last but not least, Tracy Wilson, co-founder. She's a career entrepreneur in co-working and actually knew about co-working before the word existed. She's a partner at Pacific Workplaces in California and a workspace sustainability expert. And we're bummed she couldn't be here, but she's with us in spirit.
So this is where we are now. I mean, we've launched in the service industry with a strong focus in co-working and also in corporate campuses. We have about 40,000 employees engaged in our 40 certifications. We have 80 certifications more in the pipeline. That's growing organically. And we've been on a number of acceleration programs, most notably Seaworthy Collective. We love the experience. And lots of things to do. We want to launch a for-profit spin-off as soon as possible. And also we want to develop our SaaS, our plastic footprinting tool, which is pretty good, but it's still pretty manual for us. We have a lot of spreadsheets and things that are separate. We want to put them together and really build a good technology tool. A lot more to do ahead of us in terms, for instance, of developing that marketplace, the putting together all the new alternatives and solutions to plastics to the companies that need them. Also, we have pilots lined up in other sectors, such as grocery stores and consumer packaged goods. We want to explore Web3 tokenomics very soon, and also build our partnership with ESG data providers, hoping to reach over 1,000 tons of single-use plastic eliminated per year as soon as we can. In order to do this, we need help, and we need help in terms of investment to develop our footprinting, and any help you can give in terms of developing the technology, and also marketing and sales support. We're growing organically. We have traction in the US and the UK, and it keeps growing. There's momentum, but there's a lot more to do. We need operational support. Also, potential collaborators, advisors, and corporate engagement opportunities will be more than welcome. So thank you very much. Please, if you think that what we're doing speaks to you, get in touch. We'd love to talk to you, and thank you so much.
Right, and come up. You got technical.
Okay, so you kind of realize we too are a startup, and we can use all the support we can get. So our next startup company is Revitalize Technology. It's still founded in Orlando, so right here in Florida. Still is one of our most fun startups, I have to say, because he's always very direct and honest and likes to keep things simple, which really his product is a simple and beautiful solution that reflects his personality. I think we're ready to go, so I'm going to let him take it away.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. 2002, surfer guy. The guy's name was Nick Woodman. He wanted to take pictures of his buddy surfing. Technology didn't exist. So he took a camera, he put it in a housing, and that became the GoPro. Fast forward 20 years. I took current technology, live view technology, I put it in my own housing, and I created the Rovon Eye. Next generation camera technology for everyone. Next slide. Come on, Daniel. There you go. There you go, buddy. Live view technology above the waterline is so prevalent, you don't give it a second thought. It's everywhere. You're on camera about 34 to 50 times a day. You can't even walk down your own street without getting caught by a ring camera. All that technology stopped at the waterline. It was never built. What was built was only for shallow fresh water, nothing for the ocean. Next one. This was China's solution to the problem, the consumer ROV. It was highly innovative technology. people are actually pretty excited about it. Problem is, they made them so complex to operate, it renders them completely impractical for in the ocean. Next slide. Good old GoPro. This is what people currently use to see below their boats. They'll drop it down, let it sit, reel it back up, and hope for the best. It's usually a Hail Mary every time.
Phil, give us
efficient.
just a moment. We're having an audio glitch.
Oh God.
Phil, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I just heard him in the, there we go. All right, go ahead, Phil.
Okay. I'll start over this one. Good old GoPro. This is what they currently use to see below their boats. They'll drop it down, let it sit, reel it back up, hope for the best. It's pretty much a Hail Mary. It's efficient, but it's just highly ineffective. But that's all they have. Next slide. This is the beauty of the Rovon Eye. It's extremely simple, highly effective, but most of all, it's accessible. Everyone will be able to explore the ocean floor with live view. Not gonna lie, it's pretty damn cool seeing about 200 feet below you. Next slide. Rovon Eye. This technology truly opens the door for everything underwater, and I mean everything. Exploration, mapping, diver safety. There's doors I hadn't even thought of yet. This is just the beginning of this technology. Next one. Our target market. If you are in, on, or around water, you are the target market. There's 30 million boats on this planet. 17 million of them are right here in the US. So, next slide, please. The competition. We've already discussed the competition and the problem and solution. The simple fact is there is no direct competition. We are entirely in our own lane with this technology. Next slide. We currently have 2 advanced partial MVPs out for beta testing. One is with an offshore angler, other is with a professional underwater photographer. We also have a wait list for pre-order. People have tried to buy prototypes, but we won't sell them. Next slide. We are direct to consumer focused, potentially business to business. We're not sure yet. We kind of want everybody team Rovon, not team Amazon. So we want their data, not just their personal data. We want the data they can acquire with those units for large scale projects down the road. Next slide. I have a background in underwater technology, specifically ROV. Shane is my underwater cinematographer. His focus is camera and utility aspect. Cal is my offshore guy. He's a user experience and functionality. There are millions of guys like Kyle out there. They all want to see what's down there. And last on the list is UCAN Robot. That's my manufacturer. Without their technology and their input, none of this would be possible. Next slide. We do have an ask, but we also have a tell. 9 years ago, DJI changed the world by giving everyone access to the sky. Rovon is going to do the same thing, but giving everyone access to the ocean. Finally. Last slide. You can reach us through here. Thank you for your time.
To share the video.
Thank you for bearing with. Hybrid events are hard, guys. So now our last startup before we have the break is the wonderful Brennan Bales, who is a UM grad, now based in Austin. Yeah, okay. Gators will always be first to hurt, sorry guys. So all that being said, it's been awesome working with Brenna because the work she does not only has applications here, but for the entire Caribbean. So Brenna, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name's Brenna, and I'm the founder of Revitalize. Revitalize creates resort-based, tourist-led coral restoration programs. There we go. My passion is connecting people to the ocean. That's me, doing coral restoration at a resort in the Maldives. The business I'll be telling you about today, while I've done this before, somewhere else, but now I want to do it better in places where it doesn't exist. I realized through my work that most people don't know very much about coral reefs. Most people think corals are plants, but they're animals. And they definitely don't know that coral reefs support a quarter of all marine life. So if you like to eat seafood, if you like going to the beach, you have coral reefs to thank. Coral reefs are also important for keeping shark populations healthy. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a bunch of hungry sharks swimming around our oceans. Other entrepreneurs might be afraid of the shark tank, but I swim with real sharks in the ocean, and human sharks don't scare me. I'm working to save the sharks and save the reefs, and you can help. So I want you to picture a thriving coral reef, beautiful and teeming with life, and know that sadly, most of these ecosystems will be gone in just a few decades if we don't act. No more seafood, no more white sand beaches, and no more thriving coastal communities like Miami, New York, or LA. Maybe we could do without LA. But if we're to address the issues facing coral reefs, we have to do more than what we're doing right now. Current philanthropic coral restoration efforts don't scale quickly, and if you're not a scuba diver or a scientist, there's no way for you to get involved in coral restoration. So why would you care? And lastly, the lack of community inclusion makes these efforts less impactful for the people who depend most on them. So Revitalize is taking a hospitality approach to citizen science and coral restoration. We're creating a scalable, accessible, and profitable model for ecosystem regeneration. How do we do this? Well, the short answer is it's complicated, but the long answer is our two-part business model, which I'll explain to you. The first half is our business-to-business partnerships with existing coral restoration nonprofits. We pay the nonprofits to set up coral nurseries at resorts, and in exchange, we can work with these corals under their permits, which for-profit companies typically can't get. This provides the nonprofit with capital, new revenue streams, and ways to quickly scale their efforts. We then hire local individuals to manage these coral gardens and support our guest activities at the resorts. Resorts and tourists comprise the second half of our business. The relationship between ourselves and the resort allows us to capture the existing customers of the resort, but provide benefits to both. The resort doesn't have to spend any money hiring experts to build conservation programs, and they get a cut of the revenue. We also make money, but most importantly, tourists have a way to leave a place better than they found it. So what are these activities? Well, think of us as the Airbnb experience for coral restoration. Our build your own reef activity is so easy, you can stand on the beach with a margarita in your hand and do it. It's educational, it's super fun, it's very Insta-worthy, and there's a ton of ways to upsell it. Every month afterwards, until the corals get moved to go restore a damaged reef, we keep in touch with these guests on how their reef is growing, hopefully bringing them back to see their impact over time. Travelers can check off their Revitalize customer loyalty cards and their bucket lists by doing this activity from Aruba to Jamaica. We're different than the competition in that we don't use PVC, which leaches chemicals and toxins into the ocean, or use pollutive plastics like the Reefscapers model that I worked with in the Maldives. But our ultimate advantage is how efficiently we can restore reefs. So I'm going to make you all citizen scientists right now. Corals can be separated into two groups: fast-growing branching species and slow-growing massive ones. If you're going to restore a reef, which would you rather focus on? The fast-growing species or the slow-growing ones? Well, if you answer the fast-growing species, then you're wrong, because massive coral species are actually better for reef restoration over time. Thankfully, we can grow both because ultimately all of them are important. So now you've heard about what we're doing and how we're doing it, but now let's talk about why you'll want to help us do it. The Nature Conservancy found that reef-associated tourism generates close to $8 billion annually, just in the Caribbean. In addition, Booking.com, which is the world's largest booking platform, found that 25% of travelers are willing to pay more for activities to ensure they're giving back to local communities. So clearly people are willing to use their money to interact with healthy reefs, but they're willing to use even more if these activities give back in a positive way. But more on how we do that later. If we can capture roughly 5% of the Caribbean's 2,200 good candidate resorts and 11 million annual tourists, which is a post-COVID number, we're estimating generating over $110 million in annual revenue. We'll do this through multiple revenue streams. Of course, our highly marketable build your own reef activity, but also through snorkeling and diving excursions and corporate sponsorship. This doesn't take into account our eventual goal of expanding to the over 100 countries and territories that already benefit from coral reef ecotourism. Lastly, I'll touch on our impact. You've probably heard the words people, profit, and planet, but this isn't just a tagline for us. We're creating measurable impact in each 3 of these categories, as well as addressing 5 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, thanks to the help of Seaworthy, we have 2 pilot programs emerging. The first is in the US Virgin Islands, where there's already a resort and a coral restoration organization working together. But no surprise, the resort wants more from this underfunded group. We're launching a crowdfunding campaign at the end of July to hire Revitalize staff to offer more to these resort guests. We have close to 100 pre-signups for this campaign. The second is in Barbados, where we're working with the United Nations Development Program. Myself, along with my incredible advisory team, encompass a super diverse set of professional backgrounds and nationalities, from scientists to Shark Tank success stories. Our team is ready to build the Caribbean's first truly all-accessible coral restoration business. So please help us create a lifelong journey of impact for tourists, scalable coral restoration, and new opportunities for local tourism operators. We're searching for corporate sponsors, pre-seed investment, or you can just help us spread the word about our crowdfunding campaign, which you can go sign up for right here at this QR code. Thank you all so much, and you'll get a little surprise when you go sign up for that, so go check it out.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Kudos for sending us off. We're about to take a little break, but before we do, Daniel's going to cue up a video from Revitalize, Bill's company, just to give you a little preview of that camera. We have it, so we wanted to share it with you, and we already shared it with everybody virtually, so I want you to feel left out.
We're out here on the Okaloosa Island Pier, and this time of year we've been getting a pretty big influx of tiger sharks. And I thought it'd be a good place to test out this new camera. So check this out. A repeater. We plug that in to one end, and we've got the camera. We're just gonna set it up here. Next thing we do is we open up the UCAN app, enter directly, connect the device, checking sensor status, slide to unlock device. Okay, so that is a real-time view. I'm getting a nice clear picture. I can film in 4K. I can record this in 4K, download the footage. All right, want to send it over? Let's see what we got. And we're there. Look at that bait. You can see the bait. So that is what the tigers are here for. Now the cool thing is, we can travel with it. Here he comes, here he comes. So that's the shark. I think I got a piece of him. Sweet.
Break. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to relax and catch a drink. There you go. We'll see you guys back at how about 8:05 Eastern, and hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. Thanks so much.
Great startups.
Collective team that co-created this startup. And you'll hear from Ben, there's a real amazing passion behind what the potential is of activating our communities. With that, I will throw it over to Ben.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. We are really excited to share with you what we've been working on for the Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. We are really excited to share with you what we've been working on for the past 12 weeks. We are Mariana Media. We are storytellers for the Anthropocene. Today, you're going to hear from our wonderful team comprised of Rachel, our in-house editor, Ben, myself, with a background in marketing and emerging technology, Angela, who has her own comms and PR firm, as well as Ashley, our brilliant illustrator. The four of us met as volunteers at Seaworthy Collective and quickly realized that we shared a common vision for a regenerative blue future, a love and deep passion for the ocean, as well as a mild to severe case of eco-anxiety. But we do not let that doomerism take control of us. Instead, we decided to employ our complementary skill sets in order to develop stories that can inspire resiliency, hope, and collaboration as we move into very uncertain and chaotic times.
We have identified many problems in media, like education and media for regeneration. We see lots of sugarcoating of environmental degradation through rose-colored glasses and stories that encompass helplessness through doom and gloom. Many schools don't provide environmental educational resources for students to grow a passion and love for the environment, or even media like film that aren't directed toward their age group and is easily comprehensible to youth. Additionally, of the few stories that do exist, there's a lack of diversity and inclusivity of characters and stories that relate to people and their culture. Another problem we see is that the supply chain needs to be more sustainable. We have noticed non-regenerative forms of raw materials that add to the degradation of our environment. Materials already exist that are sustainable and help support the environment, which our stories are based on. And by building a carbon negative supply chain, we will support the media we want to tell, but also other companies to utilize as well. Our solution is to inspire resiliency through specific language and imagery and source sustainable materials for our products whenever possible. So we want to do this through language and imagery to tell those hard stories with solutions already incorporated to inspire a regenerative future. We want to use materials that support our planet, like the stories we're telling through sustainable paper and ink. So our unique approach sparks compassion and collaboration. So our first story is about marine animals who face an environmental crisis and how they collaborate to face that degradation and create a regenerative future. So we want to spark that compassion for the environment and collaboration through language and imagery. So we utilize bright and bold colors that show how beautiful our ocean is and why we should care and protect it. And with the juxtaposition of Black and white imagery to show how bad our environment has gotten and the environmental degradation we see today. And through diction, we will further show how important the ocean is and how collaboration can lead to great and positive change for our future.
So we know that in order for our stories to resonate, our actions need to match our words. With this in mind, we're building partnerships that create a planet positive supply chain. In terms of our first product, this children's book, this looks like partnering with companies who produce sustainable ink and paper. The ultimate goal is to build a stack of value chain partners that other organizations can benefit from as well. Our competitors include digital media companies, production studios, and traditional publishing houses. Mariana Media has several competitive advantages. For one, we have complete creative liberty. Traditional publishing houses often take control of the work to suit their own needs, but we have control of the story, the artwork, and the marketing, so we can tell the story in the way that we want without sugarcoating the issues. As mentioned, we're creating our products using a planet-positive supply chain. There are multiple possibilities here, including LJ ink, seaweed paper, and recycled ocean plastic. We also feature diverse representation in our stories. Our characters represent various backgrounds and skills, and they work together to build resiliency and create positive change. Our market opportunity is huge. We're essentially targeting the future. The children's publishing market is massive, comprising $11.1 billion, and the digital media market is even bigger at $155.3 billion. We'll be connecting with youth, their parents, schools, libraries, and research institutions. Since forming our team in April, we've gained considerable traction. In May, we met with a scientist from Revitalize who helped us to anthropomorphize our sea creature characters and create a science-based story arc. Then in June, we partnered with Living Ink, a company that makes carbon negative ink out of algae. This month, the concept art is being created and we're continuing to work on the storyline with the aim of launching pre-orders later this year.
So for our next steps, we're focusing on 3 key areas this fall of 2022. First, we want to finalize the narrative and artwork for our first product, which is our book. Then we're going to launch our pre-orders later in the fall. And then towards the end of the fall, we're going to be focusing on marketing and PR for this book. Then in early 2023, we're going to be focusing on print and distribution based on our pre-orders and ongoing orders. And then step 5, we're going to expand into digital media. In addition to our print books, we want to explore what other platforms will work well for the types of stories that we want to tell. And we can't do this work without like-minded people like those of you in this room today. So our ask is 3 steps. First, we are looking for creative inspiration for future narratives. We can continue to tell wonderful stories about the ocean with solutions. We want to find collaborators across ocean and climate science and youth education. And we also ask for potential grantors and investors so that we can scale Mariana Media and continue to tell these types of stories. So we'd like to thank all of you so much for allowing us this opportunity today. Please feel free to reach out to us, email us if you have any questions or suggestions or would like to collaborate or invest. And please keep an eye out for our pre-orders coming soon.
All right. So this next one is probably our biggest technical challenge of the night because we have both someone virtual and Ryan, here, the co-founder of Seashell, in person. Yeah. We wish we could have everyone here in person, and that's part of what we'll be talking about later with the need for fundraising, so we can have more grants to get these folks out of Zoom world and into the real world. With that, I know Jordan's going to kick us off. Give me one moment, and I'll get us squared away. Okay.
Look at that glare. Look at that glare. All right, how's everyone doing? I guess this is the first of the night, and I'm getting a nice echo coming back from me. So a little slow on this, but this is Seashell. Lucky enough to meet Ryan through Seaworthy Collective. Shout out to Mara, Daniel, and everybody. And what we are doing is creating a multi-pronged SaaS tokenization of Web3 and physical infrastructure company to attack the resilient seashore, coastal resiliency, but for our coastal future generations. There are kind of two wings we have here. I'll do my specialties and I'll turn it over to Ryan for the rest of the presentation. So I kind of have my background in both Web3 and real estate. Work with some of the large property owners here in Manhattan as well as all over the country. Knowledgeable across the spectrum of the Web3, emerging Web3 platform, which is kind of going to be the catalyst and what separates us from further competition and competitors. Ryan, you want to take it away?
Yes, I'd love to. Closer? Can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear it? Can you hear it? Sorry about that. My name is Ryan. I'm a South Florida local. I'm currently a student at University of Miami. And yeah, so we came together with Jordan and Seaworthy Collective to co-found Seashell. And as Jordan briefly introduced to the topic, we're largely prescribing economic value to regenerative coastal resilience assets and to tokenize them. So Jordan brings years industry experience in real estate, Web3 technologies, and I have a background in coastal resilience. And so together, we've largely focused on how to respond to sea level rise in a great way. So as you can see, this is South Florida, and this is projections are about 5 feet of sea level rise, which are plausible within the end of the century. You can see this whole area here is completely underwater. You have major urban areas, which is Miami Beach, and you have Turkey Point, which is a nuclear power plant, which go on to sea level rise. So you have multiple borders interact, largely due to sea level rise. Hold the mic real close. Okay, I'm going to start that. Yeah, so without adaptation, South Florida is projected to lose like $250 billion in real estate and economic value by 27. And what we realized was that a lot of the responses to sea level rise in the United States and across the globe was done by large corporations and big government. Just wanted lobbyists and these sort of destructive infrastructure projects pushed through that weren't necessarily the right approach. And what we realized was that we needed regenerative infrastructure projects. We needed public input to do that. And so we understood the value of these regenerative ecosystem services, but we didn't know we were going to get money to them other outside of government reform. Tokenization. A great example of this is here in Miami. There was a 20-foot seawall plan. It was all federally funded, right? Kept paid down one proposal. And we couldn't get passed because, if you put a 20-foot brick seawall, Miami River and Brickle, we're going to lose a lot of other value. So we need to find a way that we can get everyone on board, we get public input, democratize access to coastal resilience. And that's where we see wetland restoration as a great starting point. Yeah, and so we're going to leverage established business models to do this, not like the wheel essentially. We saw great innovation in carbon credit markets and carbon asset tokens, and we sort of want to build off those models. And we also understand the real world business models of seawalls, regular infrastructure projects, and so we just kind of take it from there. Yeah, so our solution is tokens that tokenize the value of those resilience. And we can verify savings and we can verify economic value. These tokens can then be owned by governments, insurance agencies, real estate developers, all different private sector partners that would help finance these projects. Yeah, and we need to prescribe value. So we take a 5-step approach.
bottom up. And we started looking at coastal impact. Like we saw the 5 feet of sea level rise in South Florida. We understand how neighborhoods are going to be destroyed, people are going to be displaced, major flooding, storm events as well. And so we take that and we understand the economic impacts of that, quantify the economic results, and then the social impact data. So we look at housing displacement, we look at health impacts, we look at loss of recreation, education, community. And then we realize that then we need infrastructure to prevent these impacts. That's the adaptation aspect. Regenerative mangrove projects, reefs, salt marshes, and then we need a way to decentralize their valuation and incentivization. And that's where the token comes in. And we can really get people to all come together and build these major projects. And so we do have markets that are defined and objectives. And so one great aspect we can kind of branch into is the SaaS, especially with NGOs and philanthropic organizations, to measure exactly the work they're doing and quantify it for them as well. And a great example of this is just in South Florida with regional adaptive flood protection. The economic benefits alone we're looking at $55 billion and 140,000 new jobs by 2070. So right, that's just South Florida and regional adaptive flood protection. Our total addressable market, we sort of looked at the total value of blue carbon in the United States and across the globe. So in the United States alone, the value of coastal adaptation and resilience measures are over 2.5 trillion US dollars, just in the United States in the next 50 years. And across the globe, coastal ecosystem services are valued over $220 billion. So this includes mangroves, salt marshes, coral reefs, wetland restoration, as well as other ecological assets. We started getting a little bit of traction. We had prospective partners that we'd love to work with, implementations, MEG, Shoreline Regenerative Resources Co. So we're looking at nonprofits, and as well as terraforming organizations. And we hope that they start to move into blockchain development. We have Algorand, which is a green blockchain, maybe Ethereum-based blockchain, and it's proof of stake. So we remove the climate risk of Bitcoin. As you guys already spoke to Jordan, he rescued a turtle. Yes, he loves turtles. And that would be fun. And we obviously work with Seaworthy. Super happy.
Woo!
Yeah. And so, we're just looking for partners, advisors, and potential pre-seed investors across 3 areas: coastal resilience, sustainability sectors, the finance, and econ guys, and just overall good people. It's really cool. There's our link tree, the QR code, and our email address, steve.com. These are our phone numbers. So contact us. Feel free to reach out. We're super happy. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
I just want to say, if you didn't realize from those last 2 pitches, those were both co-created startups. And when we started Seaworthy, it was really born out of this lack of accessible opportunity for doing this work. And 12 weeks ago, everyone you just heard from had no startup and no involvement in this space. And we helped create that opportunity, and this is what happened after 12 weeks in our program. So it could be proud of all of them, especially. Thanks. Well, it looks like Nelson, who's also local to Miami, but unfortunately couldn't join us in person today, is going to be going next talking about Lily One and their carbon dioxide removal technology. Take it away, Nelson.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't join in person. Thank you again, Daniel, for the opportunity. And okay, let's start. You guys can see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Hello, my name is Nelson.
We do, and we can hear you. Go for it, Nelson.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Nelson David Pulgarin. I'm the founder and CEO of Lily One Technology. I was born in the Venezuelan Caribbean Sea coast, raised in the Colombian Andes Mountains, moved to Miami, Florida in the 90s. From Venezuela to Colombia, I have seen crises. The scale of the climate emergency is even greater. And having been through those experiences in Latin America, I know this is the one crisis that I can have a hand on solving. I got my master's of architecture and had the fortune to work for over 10 years in the industry. During the pandemic, I developed Lily One, an engineering approach to optimize the milling and dissolution rates of olivine, a very abundant mineral with the potential to capture CO2 at a megaton scale. We work to reverse climate change by driving ocean-based carbon capture. The concentration of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere is currently at all-time high and rising. This represents an increase over 40% since the beginning of the industrial age. By the end of this year, most humans will emit over 40 billion tons of CO2 just by going in their everyday lives. As you see in the graphic, the limit to global temperature increase will require a two-part strategy. First, we need to reduce our emissions from 50 gigatons of CO2 per year to 10 or less. And second, the remaining needs to be addressed through carbon removal solutions. We propose enhanced weathering of olivine at a large climate engineering scale. When implemented in a coastal environment, olivine weathering is expected to increase seawater alkalinity, resulting in additional CO2 uptake from the atmosphere. We intend to create a new and verifiable carbon dioxide removal solution for the ocean and the agricultural sector. As you see in the graphic, when olivine gets diluted into seawater, the reaction consumes carbon dioxide, which creates bicarbonates and diatoms, both essential elements to nurture ocean ecosystem. Our technology targets some of the main problems presented by the scientific community in relation to olivine dissolution, milling, heavy metal extraction, energy consumption, and clear paths for CDR certification. Lily 1 increases the dissolution of olivine, leveraging ocean upper layers, removes harmful metals before dissolution to mitigate local ecosystem contaminants, and will target carbon negativity in the overall cycle of its operations. Our mineral products and byproducts include ocean alkalinity enhancement and ocean desacidification services, agriculture and fertilizers, sales or raw materials. In our technical products, we will give access to technical data generated by Lily 1 research team. And also people will be able to purchase the diluted and the tumbler as well as the parts and components. We will target 4 main markets: ocean alkalinity enhancement, decreasing ocean acidification, natural crop fertilizers, and the sale of iron and nickel as a secondary market. The market opportunities are quite significant, and if we can access less than 1% of these $1 trillion markets, the projection of Lily 1 technology will be extremely positive. Moreover, the pie also shows a defined percentage of our market, including ocean acidity and ocean acidification enhancements, 60%, crop fertilizers, 21%, and iron and nickel, about 10%. With less than 2 years, Lily 1 technology is now in TR level 5, with a prototype under construction from carbon collection and sequestration certification. We also just signed a letter of intent, and next month, we will join the Florida Atlantic University Research Park. And with multiple layers of opportunities presented by the university, it is a clear path for the future of the company. Our first year's financial projection include $150,000, as I said, from an LOI. The grant and compensation are like about $300,000. We expecting to spend like about $300 on our prototype and our testing to get certification, which includes like about 18-month period, will be like about $75,000. That leaves us with like about $75,000 that we could use to deploy of photovoltaic energy source technique, so then the whole company could be carbon negative. The competition right now is pretty much only Project Vesta. I mean, there are other companies that are doing alkalinity, but with olivine, only Project Vesta in the States. And we are trying to decrease in the level of dissolution and also to magnify of techniques to extract all harmful byproducts before we dilute it into the oceans. Our leadership teamship includes myself as the CEO, Abelardo Pulgaren as the COO, Silvia Pulgaren as the CMO. Our advisor team includes Paulo Munoz. He is leading our pilot in Spain, Lanzarote. Cristo Miliotis, he is our advisor in the land management and regeneration, agriculture. Giolin Macias is helping us with technology development and advisory and the deployment here in Miami, Florida. For us, is expertise, like always, sponsorship and grant opportunities, and proceed angel investments. In conclusion, Lily One technology is scalable, permanent, efficient, cost-effective, and safe. And our technology is intended to be part of the portfolio of companies helping to collect and sequestrate atmospheric CO2 in a carbon negative manner. Please join us and be part of the solution. Thank you. That's it, guys.
Great, thank you, Nelson.
Thank you, guys.
Now we're having a few little glitches with audio, so I'm going to try and speak really well into this microphone. So I can introduce our next speaker, which is Ray from seed.world, based in Hawaii. So we really ran the whole kind of globe of time zones here. Next time we'll get Australia. And I think Ray, you're there. Pull up your slides. Probably it's a lot earlier in the afternoon for him. So there's just no excuse.
This is a roast.
All right. Big intro.
Is the slide up? Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So we're all here because we know that there's a problem and we want to be a part of the solution. We care about our environment, our home, our future, and we want to make it better for everyone. One of the environmental disasters several people and organizations have been trying to address is from our global mismanagement of plastic waste. We saw this problem and jumped into action to take on one of the largest issues affecting our world by focusing on the smallest aspect of it. We do that by utilizing two inventions I created. We do that by utilizing two inventions I created to work with and educate students, organizations, our local community, and people around the world on plastic pollution and our solutions. We don't just talk the talk, though. We also walk it and guide others with us. Now, for a business to flourish, it needs someone with experience, knowledge, and the passion to make it thrive and stand out. Hi, my name is Ray Abazian, and I'm the founder and CEO of Seed, a 501c3 nonprofit, and Seed.world LLC. Having an 8-year engineering background in the United States Marine Corps, I have the drive and skills to create solutions and the leadership to empower my team. Working the past 4 years at Hawaii Pacific University Center for Marine Debris Research, I have the knowledge and credibility to speak on plastics impact and the results to show that our inventions work. Serving 2 years as vice chair and another 2 years as chair for the Surfrider Foundation Oahu chapter, I have the passion, following, and support from our local environmental community who continuously come and rally behind our cause. These skills are what make us stand out from our competition and enable us to make real change in the world. But this isn't about me, so let's talk about what we do. When most people think about Hawaii, they envision crystal clear waters and white sandy beaches. Very few people would imagine our waves and shores covered in trash from what has traveled from all parts of the world. To some, this is a shock, but to those of us living in Hawaii, it is a reality that we experience every day as countless plastic items and fragments continue to wash upon our shores. One of the many problems with plastics is that it doesn't break down the same way that natural material does. Instead, it breaks apart into smaller and smaller fragments, making it more difficult to remove. While there are a lot of larger items washing up on our beaches, the biggest problem that we have to deal with is the unimaginable number of microplastics that become mixed in with our sand and ingested by virtually all forms of life. Now, most people and organizations are using a small mesh screen to sift out some of these plastics, but all of the microplastics are falling through and being left behind. This is a huge issue, as science has shown that the smaller the fragments become, the more detrimental they are to our environment and ecosystem. There's also the problem with how do we separate the natural and synthetic material we are capturing? It makes no sense just to throw this debris away after we've removed it. And we saw this as a problem, and we sought out to create a solution. Our inventions are revolutionary and change in the way we remove plastic waste, scientifically quantify it, and repurpose it into viable products. Through our nonprofit Stimulating Education and Ecological Design, or SEED, we have been educating the public on the global microplastic issue, providing open source information to through our technology so everyone can lend a hand, and created a following of people who want to see larger change happen. We aim to change the world by creating a marine plastic value chain that allows for a circular economy to be sustainable around plastic waste. Through SEED, our education curriculum raises awareness on plastic pollution, its impact, our solution, and how people can stay involved and support us. By having open source technology, we have created systems for some of the largest organizations trying to address our global plastic pollution problem. From 4Ocean, Parlay, Surfrider, the Ocean Cleanup, Sustainable Coastlines, just to name a few. And this shows that there is not only a need, but a want for our products and solutions. And through our diverse connections, we are bringing together people from all walks of life who want to see us and the two inventions I created succeed. Those two inventions are the buoyancy separation device, or BSD, and the trash time machine, or TTM. The BSD allows for the extraction of virtually all marine debris and microplastics, as our scientific work has shown that we are removing microplastic particles down to 25 microns. For reference, your hair is around 100 microns in diameter, a white blood cell is about 15, and the naked eye can only see down to 40 microns. So you're right, that means that we're removing invisible plastic particles from our beaches. Our TTM is able to separate all sizes of natural material in a matter of minutes by only using water and physics. Scientifically, the only method previously used was an acidic digester that used several chemicals, left behind a toxic sludge, and was also damaging the sample in the process. There's also no commercial scale system for this problem. Our invention causes no harm to organisms or to the environment, as we are only using water, science, and engineering. This has huge implications for the scientific community and for the commercial scaling of our systems globally. Now, with our competitors, I am by no means diminishing the work that they do, but only elevating us by the work that we do. With our inventions and being a hybrid business, we are able to accomplish so much more than others. Not only are we doing what some of our competitors are doing, we're changing the game with our solutions. We are the only organization that is removing microplastics and the larger debris, and that has an invention to remove it and won't cause harm to any organisms. On top of that, we're the only organization with the means to efficiently and effectively separate natural and synthetic material. While our seed is small, we aim to grow very large. With the plastic pollution market projected to be over $45 billion by 2028, we aim to be a leader and an innovator in that field. We know that we can initially capture just 5% of that industry capital, allowing for us to make some serious waves in our world and bring change from that. Our work has already allowed us to plant a seed on 4 continents, and there are many other countries we know will be growing on soon. Through our scientific work at the Center for Marine Debris Research, the data has shown how efficient and effective our inventions are, to where they have now become a standardized instrument for sampling and extracting marine debris pollution. Our vision is for it to become a global standardized sampling procedure once our manuscript is published at the end of this year. With the help of everyone at Seaworthy Collective, we have been able to make new partners, grow our connections, increase our impact, and refine our skills. As previously mentioned, the work we have been doing has allowed for 16 systems to be created and utilized globally. That has allowed for us to remove several tons of microplastics directly and indirectly, helping our oceans, its life, and the future management around plastic pollution and its products. This work hasn't gone unseen, as we have been presented with the Maynard Sherwood Award from the University of Hawaii for the project with the largest oceanic impact, and been recognized by the State and Senate of Hawaii for our inventions and work within the community. With all of this recognition, we are ready for the steed to start growing. Our for-profit stream is going to come from many avenues, as there are several things we are accomplishing. Our for-profit side will have commercial scale systems for the removal of marine debris and separation of natural and synthetic material, along with the sales from scientific instruments and data collection. We have already created a plastic value chain from the material we are removing by creating jewelry, art, and structural material from this plastic waste. But our vision is to take it one step further by converting the plastics into a fuel source through pyrolysis technology, helping impoverished people around the world by converting waste into energy. All of this could not be accomplished if it wasn't for the amazing and brilliant individuals that have helped us grow. We have a unique group of passionate individuals that want to make the world better and are working together towards it. We know that we are going to be a leader in the world's efforts around plastic pollution removal and remediation through our patented pending intellectual property and the years worth of work that we have put into helping our community, the planet, its oceans, and all of its life. Please join us to be a part of the growing solution by planting a seed in an area of need. Thank you.
We're on to our final pitch of the night. Thank you all so much for being so enthusiastic and so bought in, not only in your life here, but I see the time has been blowing up on light, so thank you guys. And to finish the night, we are really connecting this thread of citizen science that can actually be scalable. And so I'm excited for Danica from SmartFin to share a little bit more about what they're working on. Danica, take it away.
Thanks, Daniel. I'm going to assume that everyone can see my slides and can hear me. Cool. All right. Thanks so much for having us, everybody. I'm so excited to close out the night. It's been a really, really great set of presentations. My name is Karanicki, and I'm the CEO and founder of SmartFin. The problem that drives SmartFin won't be a surprise to you after all of the presentations that you've heard tonight. Crucial coastal ecosystems are being devastated by climate change as the ocean warms and acidifies. Over 3 billion people globally live within 50 miles of the coast and depend directly on these ecosystems for their food, physical safety, and economic livelihoods. Although there's an over $34 billion marine sensing industry, it leaves a gap in the nearshore environment. Other technologies like satellites don't work well in the shallower waters there, and expensive research buoys get knocked around in the coastal waves, only measure a fixed point, and are too expensive to deploy in large numbers. Our solution is SmartFin, a patented surf and paddleboard fin with GPS, IoT, and temperature and motion sensors. It's not a wearable, but a gearable used by citizen scientists to collect both activity performance and environmental data. We're creating a new category with gearables at the intersection of sports performance and coastal monitoring. The data are immediately useful to the user and contribute to climate science. Much like wearables for other activities have made an impact on health data, we're going to have a positive impact on the environment. Crowdsourcing this coastal data is an elegant and optimal solution to this data gap. These low-cost sensors in a SmartFin can be deployed globally in large numbers, and we're democratizing coastal monitoring with this product. Secondly, we're getting data where there currently just aren't any, and it's good quality and high resolution. These data can help inform decisions that impact conservation, restoration, policy, and more. And last, and possibly most importantly, we're building a community of ocean advocates. We need data everywhere, and so we need a really broad community of people to help gather it. and we're getting community involved with science that ultimately impacts them. For a user, SmartFin acts like any other premium fin, gathers data automatically while it's in the water and transmits them when it's out. It's been tested and loved by pros, so we know there's no loss in performance. The SmartFin app connects users to each other and to the scientific community that they're now a part of. Users can view real-time conditions, track their sessions, find great surf or stand-up paddleboard spots, and most importantly, learn about the research initiatives and studies that they're contributing to. All the data collected with SmartFin are useful to the user immediately as well. The real-time temperature can help you pick your wetsuit and also help researchers understand coral health, for example. As we expand, we can track parameters like water quality and the locations of marine species. Compared to any other activity tracker available for surfing, SmartFin is the only one that combines specificity for water sports and impact. So for example, on Dawn Patrol, you can track your raddest surf sessions and see how you're improving, but there's no social networking features. And on Strava, there aren't specific features for surfing, and none of them have a positive impact on the ocean. So how do we know that consumers will purchase this product to participate? First, consumer trends really show that consumer values drive their spending. People care about the environment and they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. Over 87% want companies to integrate environmental concerns into their products, and over half are willing to pay more for products with eco-friendly brands. Plus, we have real-world traction proving that this can be successful. First, we had an over 250 pilot, primarily with the Surfrider Foundation, that proved the concept. We got really great feedback from users, including that they loved having conversations with other surfers at the beach about why their fins were blinking and what they were doing. We've had 8 scientific papers published, and our reservation list is over 250 strong and growing at about 60 people per week. But the 35 million global surfers and paddlers are really just the beginning. Our goal is to leverage the power of the ocean-loving community to protect it, however they get in the water, be it snorkeling, boating, kite surfing, you name it. Our business model has 2 components. So we're selling the devices to customers through gear distributors. Firstly, we have an exciting partnership with Firewire Surfboards, one of the top surfboard manufacturers in the world. Their surfboards don't come with fins, so they're going to be our first distributor to sell our longboard fin. And on the other side, we can monetize the data set that we've collected. And particularly as Web3 tokenomics advance, shout out to Ocean Currency Network, who saw in the chat, we can incentivize this data collection and return value to the whole supply chain. Our team has expertise ranging from engineering to filmmaking, and we deeply believe in the power of collaboration. We've gotten help and support from the accelerators that you see here, and we're currently building out our team and an advisory board that includes successful entrepreneurs, marine sensor experts, and folks from the surf and paddle industry. Our next steps and asks are all in support of our commercial launch. So we're raising funding to support the launch, which will go toward manufacturing, expanding our team, and developing additional partnerships. In the long term, SmartFin will have a significant environmental, social, and economic impact. By 2030, we will have deployed over 60,000 fins, added 15 deployment methods and 5 sensors to build out the gearables market, have saved at least $10 million per year compared to other data collection methods, and monitored over $17 billion in coastal environmental value globally. But we need to start now to get there. We want to get SmartFins in the water as soon as possible. We address a gap in a large and growing market with lots of opportunity to scale. And we have opportunities in emerging markets in marine environmental data. At SmartFin, we're creating ambassadors for the ocean. We believe in the power of community to solve our most pressing challenges. We're democratizing coastal monitoring to do this by combining the sport you love with the data we need to protect the ocean and ultimately our planet. Thank you.
Amazing job, guys. I'm going to share my screen real quick to help us.
I'm just going to bust in and first with pride, because they all did so wonderfully. Thank you to the entire cohort for your wonderful presentations, for sticking to time. We're very impressed, inspired, and proud with what you've accomplished over the last 12 weeks. Thank you very much for giving Seaworthy a chance. And thank you all for joining us. And I will pass it off to Daniel.
Well, I have just a couple thank yous and a few last closing notes before we get celebrating. First, none of this would happen without our team. I want to give shout outs not only to those holding it down virtually, especially Rachel, but also our team here in person who's helped hold out a hell of an event. Thank you all so much, and especially Tamara for getting through this 12 weeks with us. That whole 100% satisfaction thing would not have happened without Tamara. I'm not as organized as the folks I promise. But most importantly, our team really represents the community we look to build, and is also reflected in the startups that we have, not only having a strong representation in diversity and women, but most importantly, showing what can happen when we bring together diverse ideas and people and skills. Speaking of which, I also wanted to give a shout out to the volunteers on our team who have helped drive forward so much of what you've seen today. Amelia actually helped design, I think, more than half of the decks that you saw here today, and she's a volunteer with us from Barbados. Not only that, she's also actually potentially going to be working with Brenna to help her deploy in Barbados. Rachel, as we saw, is not only part of Mariana Media, but also has been a huge help between our community building strategy and, of course, hosting our virtual events. And then just going through a few of our interns, Max has been helping get our Web3 strategy going, which I'll mention in a minute. Victoria has been helping getting our CRM up to date. Thank you so much, Victoria. Is doing dirty work, and we appreciate it. And it's just been awesome to have also just a couple of our partners, Ernesto and Vincent, who have been so helpful in building out the infrastructure to support all of these startups. And then finally, our advisors. I saw Misha's been on and typing up quite a few people. So thank you, all of you guys, for driving us forward. I know Chris Daniels was here earlier tonight. We would not be here without all of you. And so now I get to end tonight with sharing what's next. This has been a long time coming. I've said that the last year has been just an all-out execution phase from Cohort 1 to now. When we wrapped up Cohort 1 in August of last year, it was like, oh crap, now we got to figure out our business model. And then we went full nonprofit, and then we figured out this hybrid model. And, the real world of startups is everyone's still figuring it out. But what's cool is we have some of this stuff really nailed down for what we're moving forward, and we're so excited to share it all. So first off, for those virtually, you already have access to the link tree to join our Discord. I'll put a QR code up here in a minute. Ben and Vincent have been working really hard to get our Discord really operational fully to help catalyze collaboration by making it more actionable and intuitive. Trove, powered by Catalyst, is partnering with us to help create a platform to help host asks and offers, which they call the reciprocity ring, to help us catalyze our community. And our Discord is the home for our community to co-create, prototype, build, and break things together. Beyond that, we've been pretty nose down in working with all these startups, as you can probably tell, and I have a pile of emails. I'm sure I'm not alone in that one. But most importantly, we are finally getting back to where we started, which starts with collaboration. I know even just looking around the room here and the Zoom room, there are quite a few people we've been excited to get to work with and haven't had the opportunity to, and that's going to be a big part of our next phase. And if you're looking to be involved with these startups, mentor, collaborate, definitely let us know on our site. And speaking of getting back to our roots, we also really value building community, and that's what we're doing here tonight. We did with our launch party with this cohort, but we have done far less this year in person than we did last year, and that's because we've been so good down with our work. And that is going to be a thing of the past as we get back to having regular events, starting with our Miami Tech Climate Happy Hour that's going to be relaunching next month, and going on with our regular educational panels and more collaborative events that we'd love to put on. And then as far as the Venture Studio goes, I'm going to start with some rough news, but I have some good news after. We are not doing another cohort this year, but we are really confident in what we've accomplished with this cohort, start scaling it next year. So we're looking ahead to cohort 3 launching in March with 2 cohorts scheduled for next year. And as always, the applications continue to be open. And at the same time, what we're going to be working on is building out Seaworthy Ventures and our $25 million early stage ocean regeneration fund. This has been something that we've been sitting on for quite some time, and from my time both in Monaco recently, with Prince of Monaco's Roundtable, as well as at Ultramarine and Richard Branson's Island earlier in the year, we've been kind of keeping our Web3 enabled fund under wraps, but we are going to let it out soon as we start building it out. And more importantly, in the meantime, for those startups that are here or looking to get involved in our work, we will be launching some consulting and advisory services, basically going from the 5 miles deep, 1 inch wide of the venture studio to 5 miles wide, 1 inch deep, and really giving people access to those resources more open. That's part. So now, looking ahead, so Tamara is actually based in Austin, and so is Brenna, and it turns out there's quite a community out there that's looking to get into the ocean impact space. We have also a good representation in New York, and I didn't put this on here, but also St. Pete has been calling your names as well, and we are looking ahead to scaling and hopefully launching our first cohort outside of South Florida fall of next year. And so just getting these things on the radar for those especially joining us remotely, we are looking to get into your cities. And so to close, what I'd love to share is the more granular focus on what our next steps are in impact and our projected goals for 2023 as we look ahead. So first off, with these 2 cohorts that we're looking to launch and expanding to other locations, we see ourselves being able to educate over 3,000 people next year and support 72 different entrepreneurs and bring up our totals to over 5,000 educated and 120 supported while getting our average diversity and inclusion numbers up to average of 38%. We're really excited about. And then as far as the economic outcomes we think we will see ourselves driving, we think from just cohort 1 alone, so I think setting the example, we think we'll be able to see almost $20 million in investment created and grants with a total of $32 million across all of our cohorts combined, and most importantly, supporting 50 startups total by the end of next year, co-creating 10 of them. And then finally, the environmental impact and ecosystem impact we're looking to drive. We're going to be able to hit 8 startups across each of our verticals, 8 shots for each of these 6 impact areas that we have been, and expanding to at least 1 more region to build out their blue tech and climate tech. And so altogether, what we're really excited to announce is first our launch of our fundraise on our nonprofit, which we never really made a concerted effort because we've been so busy building and doing, and now we're ready to say the proof is done. Let's get this thing scaled and built out with everyone's support. Saying the last year has been a long and hard journey to figure out where we are supposed to find support, because I don't think a lot of people know the early stage ocean and climate impact space is severely underfunded. And that's one of the tragedies of our time, because the pipeline and all these success stories we hear of a lot of these later stage startups is helping the few percentage people who get past the hardest stage of entrepreneurship. We need to double down on supporting this space, and that's why we're actually launching our fund, which we're really excited to build out. And so for that, we're also looking for partners, whether limited partners, general partners, co-investors, finance partners, and potential advisors, and to really accentuate the point, as far as the SDGs goes, SDG 14, Life Below Water, is actually the least funded SDG, and we're looking to change that. And so to close, I just want to say thank you all so much for not only showing out for our startups, but most importantly, really bringing the authenticity and passion needed to create impact in this space. And we're so excited to have all of you here in person and virtually to really help build this community and really create the launch pad for what's going to be a rocket ship to come. Thank you all so much.
All right.